On this week's show, Peloton's new instructors are launched and the new London studio opened.
Plus, new features and possible new products, and much, much more.
Welcome to Pelo Buddy TV, a show for the Peloton community by the Peloton community. Here are your hosts, Amanda Siegel and John Pruitt.
Welcome to episode 53 of Pelo Buddy TV, a show for the Peloton community by the Peloton community. I'm Amanda Siegel, and I'm joined by my co-host, John Pruitt. Hey, John.
Hey now. How's it going, Amanda?
It's good. It's good, John. Boy, it's been a crazy week, but it's, all good. And, lots going on in the Peloton world. But how was your week, first off?
My week has been good, busy workout-wise and work-wise. And
all right.
Just a heads up, Jackie, she's away in Austin right now. So
yeah.
It's just me and the puppy holding down the fort with Jackson. So say a quick prayer because she's real. I let her out before we started recording, sort of ran her around the backyard to tire her out. But she's wandering around right now. So let's say a prayer that I don't finish recording and step on a big dump.
Only you, John.
Yeah. Oh,
hey, Maddie. Big. Look how oh my gosh, she is getting big. Getting so big. Look at her. Oh, she's so beautiful, John. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm getting used to this empty nesting, and clearly it's got me on the tread, John. You did it. You got me on the tread. So, I had a very busy workout week, and at least the beginning of the week, and you guys will get to hear about lots of it on the picks of the week. So, I'm really excited to share. And then we had our Yom Kippur on Thursday, so there was a downtime and quiet, and now we're revving up for a new week and an older me. Big week this week for me. I'm one of those nuts. Yeah.
Monday,
and Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
Well,
and I am thank you. And I'm one of these crazy women crazy people that just love her birthday. So I have planned out my workouts for Tuesday. I will be on Leanne's live ride at 9 a.m. Eastern time. It's a rock, John. So I hope to see you there. I hope to see you there celebrating my birthday.
You're like Allie Love. She doesn't just have the one day for her birthday. She celebrates it the whole month.
Oh, all month. I have to be honest with you, this month I've toned it down a little bit and I'm only just starting to talk about it. So usually I start the beginning of September, and this month I will tell you that I have toned it down just a little bit. But I'm excited about Tuesday. And it was actually, I'll share with you guys, it's quite funny. Last year, like pandemic, everything, and Leanne was riding, and her ride was at 2:30 in the morning or 1:30 in the morning. And I was damned if I wasn't going to be on that ride. So I stayed up and got up to ride with her at 1:30. And John, I will never forget. I was standing, warmed up. I'd done my warm up and was getting ready to jump on live. And it went from live to encore, right before my eyes. And I was freaking out. And I had members calling me, like the UK members that were jumping on to do it because it was the morning for them. And so it must have been 2:30 because I think it was like 7:30 UK time. And I messaged her and I was like, I just want to make sure that you're okay, because she knew that I was doing it. I was messaging Ben, anybody that I could. And it turns out they had technical difficulties in the studio and she couldn't. And, she messaged me back very sweetly later that day. She goes, I'm gutted. She goes, I knew that you were riding and I couldn't ride. So I messaged her this week and I said, hey, just letting you know, it's Tuesday and God help you if they're technical. She goes, no. And she's remembered. She said, I remember that well, Amanda. So let's pray that there are no technical difficulties in that new, beautiful London studio that we'll talk about in a minute. And I'll get to ride with my English queen. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yes. Sometimes those little things happen. I remember a couple of years ago when Jen Sherman was doing a Thursday evening rock ride. She usually had a Thursday evening slot that she would always teach at, I think, at 5 or 5:30, but right when the class was about to start, it still hadn't opened up to pre-show. It went encore, and she apparently threw out her back at the studio, I guess, when she was getting ready. So, she turned out, but it happened, so.
Yeah, no, I know. And you know what, Leanne was so lovely. The next day, she actually gave me a belated birthday shout out. So that was really cool. Looking forward to this week, Anatol. I know you don't like to share your milestones. I love it. It's going to be 1,700 rides for me. So I've lined it up, and it's going to be a special day. So I'm looking forward to it. Well, folks, before we get started with the news, we always like to remind you how you can stay up to date with all of our content across all of our platforms. Every episode is released on our YouTube channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand side of the video and hit the notify button never to miss an episode.
And we are also available on all podcast platforms. Just search Pelo Buddy TV, hit subscribe, click notifications so you don't miss an episode. And if you like the show, we'd love to hear from you. Leave us a review. Tell us how we're doing, any suggestions. If you have class picks of the week, I'd also love to hear some that I might have missed. So appreciate any feedback from you.
For sure. That's a great point, actually, John. Yep, I'm sure there's some that the folks that get to listen to the podcast to watch the show certainly can share with us. So definitely. And of course, folks, we are on Facebook and Instagram. I know that most of you are probably following along already, but just search Pelo Buddy and follow us on those platforms, never to miss an episode. And now let's get on with the show.
First, let's do a rundown of the latest Pelo news.
Well, we had some new UK tread coaches that premiered. So last Friday morning, September 10th, Amanda, Peloton officially announced 2 new coaches, which they had previously teased when they were getting ready to open the new London studio and make that announced. But Susie Chan and Jermaine Johnson both had their premiere runs. I know you were on the premiere run with Jermaine with me. That happened on Wednesday, September 15th. Yes. Susie's premiere run was the following day, Thursday the 16th. That was a 20-minute one. My legs were still tired out from Jermaine, so I haven't done that one yet. But Susie's instructor page is now live on the Peloton site, and here's just a brief, blip of her bio, which we had. Previously, back in June, we had first reported on, the rumor. She was, one of the rumored new coaches that would be joining Peloton. But here's just a little about her from her official Peloton bio on the site. Previously, more often found partying than PBing, Susie's gone on to become one of the most recognizable faces in the British running community, a 3-time marathon Disables finisher, and the world record holder for the longest treadmill run in history. It's no wonder she believes everyone can be a runner, setting you up for success by focusing on technique, comfort, and ticking off achievable goals, regardless of your age or ability. And so with that, Peloton had also recently announced 3 new tread coaches in the U.S. studio, Daniel, Kirsten, and Marcel. So the tread family has quickly grown, and hopefully with that, now we get a more beefed up tread schedule in terms of runs or walks or hikes or boot camps. And it already, looking at the schedule, it already looks like there's a couple extra runs. It seems like more than usual. I usually see 1 or 2 live runs a day, maybe 1 at most sometimes. So hopefully that means we have more options, more live options, and more options in general.
Yeah, I have to say, John, that you put put me up to the challenge, and I've jumped on that tread, and I'm loving it, and I am loving all these new coaches. So I, made it a mission to run with all of them in their premieres. Unfortunately, Susie's was on Thursday, and I was fasting, so I wasn't going to be running. So I do still have to jump on hers, but I've done the others, and we spoke about it in previous episodes. But yeah, they're fantastic. They're fantastic. So I'm really excited that we, as you said, have these new options and new coaches, and so far so good. I'm impressed. You'll get to hear more about that later in the show, but very impressed. Awesome. So John, yeah, there was definitely much excitement this past week too, with the opening of the new London studio in Covent Garden. And we absolutely want to share with you everything that happened. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. The first premiere ride was done on Tuesday, and the German community actually got the first look with an epic 2-for-1 by Cliff and Eric of top 10 hits. And the energy between the two of them was fantastic. I did jump on to get a glimpse, and what I couldn't understand a word either of them were saying. My German is non-existent. There was definitely a huge amount of energy, and the music was fire. From Mi Gente by J Balvin, Britney's Work Bitch, It's My Life by Bon Jovi, to Tina Turner, Whitney Houston, Justin Bieber, Cyndi Lauper, John Legends, All of Me. You really had to be there for the music, and it was kind of cute hearing Eric belt out the lyrics in English. So you had this like strong German accent, and Eric was singing away, which was really fun to watch. So that was truly an amazing, opening act for the London studio.
And then the layout too.
Beautiful.
They had their two separate little stages that they were on, as opposed to the Peloton Studios New York, where they just put them
both on the same.
With the plexiglass. So I liked. It looked really sleek. I'll say that. I liked the setup.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll talk about it a little bit more as I talk about the studio, but how they've set it up. But yes, I think that it looks gorgeous, and I think the instructors are really excited and happy about it. There were bikes in the studio, so we do know that, hopefully that's, crossing fingers, indication that members will eventually be able to come into the studio to ride. So that was really exciting to see. There weren't a ton of bikes, but there were definitely bikes in the studio. I believe I kind of counted 2 rows. I saw back-to-back rows in there. So yeah. And then, of course, we got to see our English queen look quite stunning as she launched the much talked about Ed Sheeran artist series with her 30-minute ride. And, I know you and I were messaging, and she looked exquisite. Exquisite. The day closed out with Ben, and he did a global beats ride with just the right amount of bangers and belters. There was some speculation, John, I know we had chatted about it, as to whether the rides were pre-taped, as neither of them did any member shout-outs. But you know what, folks, that could have just been that, they were premiere rides out of the new studio, and they didn't want to incorporate that aspect of it. They did call out groups. So they called out, Peloton Moms, Peloton Dads, Peloton UK, tags, thank you. Yeah. But not individual member milestones. But yeah, as we said, I think the studio looks incredible. And John, I actually kind of like the fact that there's no mirror behind the instructors.
I was just about to say, I'm totally the opposite.
Really? Okay.
I miss the mirrors.
I liked it.
I like the
back angle of them.
The alternate view. Well, not just them, but I can sometimes see what they're looking at on their screen, and I like seeing. It's almost like getting a glimpse, peeking back the curtain a little bit.
I never thought of it from that perspective. You're absolutely right. Yes.
They do have privacy filters on the laptop screen and on the actual tablet screen. So at certain angles, it just looks completely dark. So unless you're looking at the angle where like the camera is looking at directly on, you don't always see what's on there. But
interesting.
I guess I'm just used to the mirror because they've always had mirrors since the original studio at 23rd Street and at the new one in Peloton Studios, New York.
Yeah. You know what I did notice though? In the London studio, no laptops. So I don't know whether it's now being controlled by the production room or not, but there is no laptop. Nope, there's no laptop. It's just them on that wooden circle that they're on. There's no laptop. So I don't know who else picked that up, but it is just their bike. Yeah, I did notice that. Yes, I don't know. I think it's certainly less distracting. I think once members are going to come into the studio, it'll be less distracting, and people won't have to fight for the front row to get to be on camera, because you won't be on camera, unless they pan around So who knows? But I thought that was pretty interesting. Kind of moving on to the week, Wednesday, we saw the launch of the UK Tread, as you had mentioned. And of course, as you said in the opening segment, we got to see the new UK coaches perform quite well. And lastly, folks, could we be seeing Bike Bootcamps, excuse me. Could we be seeing Bike Bootcamps out of this very gorgeous studio? According to a well-positioned source inside of Peloton, that might be sooner than you think. That source? Sam Yo himself. So during Sam's first live class from the studio this past Thursday, he took time during the pre-show to actually walk folks through the new camera angles. And when talking about camera 5, which is the overhead view, Sam noted that it won't get used much for classes, for cycling classes, but would be good for strength and, wink, wink, Bike Bootcamp. So as a reminder, folks, during Peloton's earnings calls and other interviews with investors, they had mentioned that it was likely that we would be seeing boot camps, both bike and tread, as part of their plan to win the strength category. And we know that Peloton sees boot camps as a great strength workout. So who do you think we'll be seeing teaching those classes, John? I don't know.
I'd love to have Hannah. I would love to have all of them, but Hannah, Ben, Leanne, any of them, it would be great to just have the additional, classes on top of what we already have from the U.S. studio, because there's only a couple live bike boot camps a week, usually on Mondays.
Yeah.
And I always do the ones on Friday mornings with Cody.
With Cody,
Bike boot camp booze. So I would definitely love to do more because we love to ride live. So if there were more live boot camp options, I would definitely be closer to hitting my first boot camp milestone, which I have a ways to go. But,
and you know what, John, for me, I don't do boot camps, period. And, partly because Leanne doesn't offer them. So, so I would certainly love it to see it. But I don't know, she doesn't, other than her light, arms and weights, she doesn't do any strength. So who knows?
Yeah.
Not sure.
Well, moving on, Amanda, we have a new update to the tread and the bike tablets. So we now have multi-select filtering. And this threw me off because when I was trying to find a Cody ride from the previous night, the drop down wasn't there where I would normally pick Cody, 30 minutes, whatnot. They've now moved the filter sorting system on the bike and the tread tablet for the class library. It's moved to a new location kind of off to the right, and it's added, they're saying it's adding increased flexibility because you can select multiple instructors that you want to search for at the same time to get their classes displayed together. But it's off to its own sidebar menu on the sort of the upper right-hand corner. So you hit filters. There's a button there. It says filters to access it. And then there's all these little, drop downs that you can select by, class type, length, instructor. So I'm getting used to it. Change sometimes doesn't always.
I hate it. I hate change. I don't hate that. I hate change. So I was like, oh my God, I can't filter. I don't know where. And then as you just said, I mean, you kind of saw it in the corner there. And then, of course, thanks to Pelo Buddy, we found out that there was a change. So, so it was good that we were able to do that. But it always throws me off too, I have to admit.
Yeah, because I want it just right dead center where it's always been for years. So, and they don't give us, I didn't really get any heads up or hear that they were going to be making this change. So yeah, it just kind of catches you by surprise. So a little annoying at first, but
getting used to it.
We'll get used to it.
Yeah.
In other completely unrelated news, so apparently Peloton's going to be preparing to release a new accessory strength product called Peloton Guide. So this appears to be the video device that integrates with your TV or your screen, which allows you, it sort of watches your form. And so you can match your form with what the instructor is calling out during the class in real time. Previously, it was named Peloton. The tentative name was Peloton Focus, code name Tiger, that we had reported on a couple different times when we had heard rumors and circulated those out. But what's new this past week is one of the Peloton instructors actually mentioned this product in their class.
And then if you have a Peloton Guide at home, feel free to watch yourself on screen for those specific postures to make sure you're in roughly correct alignment.
Our class, so it seems like we could be very close to a release or an official announcement of Peloton actually confirming this product. But in the class, she described how it works and revealed the name, which has changed from Peloton Focus now to Peloton Guide. So in a yoga class, which was released on demand from instructor Kira Michelle, she goes through the pre-class warm-up process, describing the equipment needed, workout space should be set up, and just before the class officially gets going, she mentioned an as of yet released accessories. She mentioned Peloton Guide. I forget what her exact words were, but she said, if you've got your Peloton Guide set up, something to that effect. And I think Chris Lewis also mentioned that since then, that class has been taken down because they obviously maybe Sven, the intern over at Peloton, hit the activate button too quickly in the production team. But this apparently seems to be that same product that we've mentioned, multiple times. It'd be equipped with software. It would assess the members' form and movements and provide real-time instant feedback on, members' workouts. Features essentially exactly what Kira is describing. You're able to do with Peloton Guide when using it during a yoga workout. So it apparently will potentially have the ability to count reps in strength class, which I think is, if this is true, this is awesome, because when I'm doing strength, I'm just trying to keep up with the exact rhythm and cadence of the instructor, but sometimes I'm sloppy, I'm not going fast, I'm not able to keep up. So I love the fact that just takes one element of, having to count reps or just doing that work for you. So it was gone. The class went straight to on demand. It was apparently pulled. But this is also similar instance that we had where the Peloton X Adidas collaboration, they released an on-demand Cody class, which was coach to camera, the instructors call it, where Cody mentions, do you like my new Peloton Adidas outfit? And then that got pulled pretty quickly, I think later that day after it was accidentally put out on the platform. But next week we could be talking about this probably. You never know. Later today we could be getting an announcement. So stay tuned.
Absolutely. And I have to say, I think from a yoga perspective, I love it because, as I've dabbled in yoga and I ended up doing, some privates with a friend. But I never know if my form is right. So it would be an amazing way of being able to be sure that we are doing it right. So I'm looking forward to seeing if that comes out.
It's kind of like having that element of being in maybe like a bar-based studio where the instructor walks by and corrects you. This is now giving you that sort of one-on-one correction without, having to go somewhere to a studio and be with other people. So
100%.
I don't know what the price will be, but I would definitely get it just to try it out, and see if it improves. I would think it wouldn't hurt. It would be a good enhancement to my workouts. So
for sure. I'm right there with you.
I'm definitely excited to get it.
I am right there with you, and I think that I would definitely try it. I think it's a great way of, a great accompaniment to the platform. So that'll be good. That'll be good. Yeah, well, also what we saw this past Friday, so late Friday afternoon, members actually got an email from John Foley letting folks know that next Thursday, September 23rd, so this coming Thursday, September 23rd at 2 p.m. Eastern, so 7 p.m. UK time, he actually will be jumping on a YouTube live that's being sent to members who sign up, who RSVP via a private link. He's going to be joined by Bex Gentry, Maddie Majacomo, and a member from Peloton's product team to discuss the tread and answer some members' questions. So, I think we're all waiting with bated breath to see what they're doing about the Tread Plus. People are anxious to get it back on the market and being able to purchase it. And we are in limbo. I mean, ever since they recalled it and they pulled it from sales, nobody knows what's going on. So, and that was a huge part of their revenue. As it was an expensive piece of equipment. I'm sure that they are anxious to get it back out there and on the market so that folks can get it. So stay tuned. We'll definitely report about it next week, but we'll have to see what they have to say as far as getting the tread out there. And in fact, if that's what he is going to be discussing, I can only assume, I think we can all assume that would be something that he would discuss. And then switching gears just a little bit, John, but I know she's a favorite of yours, Christine Derkel, de Ercole, as you say. I never know how to pronounce her last name, so my apologies. But CDE fans can, be quite impressed with her. Christine has already gone on to win gold in this Masters track ride racing. She had stated in an Instagram post back on September the 5th that she had raced on the other bike, that one with brakes, which I kind of liked how she put it. And then this past Wednesday, she took to the track for the Masters National Championship in Lee Valley, Pennsylvania. And she landed a personal record of 2.39 for a 2K. She had mentioned in one of her Peloton rides that she wanted to get below a 2.4. So really impressive, and a huge shout out to Christine. So that was really nice to see, and she was excited about it.
She went live the other night. She's funny. She just randomly goes on live. She's a night owl. Yeah. And she's been spending a lot of time at the house she bought with her fiance, Brian. So last night she was just doing something, making some adjustments on her racing bike, her competitive bike. And she was just like off in the distance. She's like, I can't see anything. I know you're there though. I see the scroll. I can't read anything, and then later on, she was on, and there was a big bug on top of her curtains. And so, or I think she posted it in her stories. Yeah, it was in her stories, but it's just, I just love the randomness. Sometimes she'll just have the phone set up on a live, and you just see the point of view from the stove while she's cooking, like sauteing mushrooms.
I'm definitely gravitating more and more towards her, and I'll talk about her in my picks of the week. But I'm actually really enjoying, as you said, I've jumped on a couple of these lives, and I've obviously in the research for today, for the news for today, I scrolled through her Instagram, and she's fun. She's actually really funny.
Yeah.
She's actually
Yeah,
really funny.
You just connect with them more on social that way to their
100%.
personalities. So yeah, it's always fun.
Yeah, it was fun
I
to
enjoy
see.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, switching gears a little bit to the competition, if you want to call them competition, Apple Fitness Plus had some updates this week, and there was a couple articles, worth mentioning because they called out Peloton in it. So this article was on fastcompany.com, and it's titled "Don't Look Back, Peloton. Apple might be gaining on you." And it starts out saying Apple Fitness Plus is taking on a decided Peloton vibe, but rather than readying itself to make its own exercise equipment, it's doing something, it's going after something different. So at its California streaming product launch this past Tuesday, Apple announced that members of its Fitness Plus service will soon be able to work out together over SharePlay, which is a new Apple service that lets members co-stream videos on Apple devices. So it feels like the article is saying it feels like a direct strike at Peloton's business model. They don't, have their own equipment yet. They don't have a bike or a treadmill, but they give you a recommendation of third-party makers of it. But the article basically ponders the question, would Apple take on Peloton even more directly by developing their equipment and going that route, trying to break into that space, which is already, super competitive, not just with, Peloton, but, SoulCycle and NordicTrack and Echelon. It does say Apple Fitness instructors, they may never, become Peloton style stars, but, the company is doing more for inclusivity than its upstart counterpart, apparently. So they highlighted some of the trainers that will be on the Apple Fitness platform during the iPhone 13 launch event. It says their trainers aren't household names who've become celebrities in their own right yet, but Apple's positioning its platform as less intimidating and more inclusive than Peloton. So it'll be interesting to see if they can recreate that level of excitement and stardom that obviously Peloton's grown to become. I know in the SoulCycle world, some of those instructors that have been there a long time are celebrities in their own right, that are treated like gods there. But interesting to see kind of how it develops. And I love, I don't want to seem like I'm bashing. I love competition because I feel like, that's what makes Peloton better. That's how they improve. When they see somebody that puts out a product or a service that directly competes with them, that's how they innovate and grow and adapt. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how their content looks, how it compares.
Hands out. Yeah.
So,
Well,
we'll
I don't
see.
know, John. They can try as hard as they like, as far as I'm concerned, but they aren't securing artist series collections like Peloton are. That much I can tell you, right?
Yeah. The journalist, this person did say, one of the articles, they pointed out in her newsletter, a culture study, the Peloton trainer fame is unique in that users' consumption of them isn't passive. You're tuned into the workout, you're strapped into the bike, you're not distracted by your phone or the TV. So it'll be interesting to see if Apple Fitness can captivate its subscribers just the way Peloton has with the community and everything outside of that class element, that we all eat up and gravitate towards in terms of apparel and all the little groups, the tribes and the instructor pages that that have been set up for each coach. So.
Yeah. Well, again, they can try as hard as they like, but they're not securing artist series. And
you never know. You never know.
I don't know. We had a pretty big one this past week drop. I mean, the latest one for sure had us all buzzing, as we all know. Ed Sheeran, and what a collection! What a collection this one was. I had mentioned earlier that Leanne had got to launch the series with her premiere ride in the new London studio. But Sam Yo wasn't left out. And as we all know, Sam is known to be the instructor that plays Ed Sheeran the most on his rides. So Sam actually got to do a 20-minute recovery ride as well as a 10 minutes arms and light weights. Kristen McGee gave us a 30-minute yoga flow. And that new gorgeous UK tread instructor, Jermaine Johnson, although he does like to be called JJ from what I'm understanding in doing more and more of his classes.
Yeah.
He did a run. And again, I don't want to spoil my picks of the week, so I'll just say that he did a run. Robin has a full body stretch. Ben has a full body strength. And last but not least, German community get to bop to Ed Sheeran as well. And Mila got to do a 30-minute ride. So, John, I set myself a challenge. I am a huge Ed Sheeran fan. I mean, he is by far one of my most favorite performers.
Have you seen him in
fortunate.
concert?
I have seen him in concert. I saw him the day before my birthday 2 years ago, right before the pandemic hit, September 20th. He was here in DC, and I got to see him at the Capital One Arena, and he's phenomenal. He's phenomenal. So my goal, John, is to try and get to do all the modalities. And I have to tell you that I am pretty pleased to say that I'm almost done.
You mean all the different classes and the
different classes,
series?
The different classes. So all that I have left to do is Ben's strength. And Mila's ride. I think I'm going to jump in it because it's music, right? I mean, so why not? I mean, I don't have to understand what she's saying, but it's Ed's music. So
you get the vibe. You'll totally get the vibe with Ed Sheeran.
You'll get the vibe. You'll get the vibe for sure. But yeah, so just Ben's strength dropped on Saturday. So I'll get to do it this week. No, it's a 30-minute. It's a 30-minute full body strength. So for 30-minute full body strength, 30-minute full body stretch with Robin Arzon. And then, of course, I did the run. I did Leanne's ride. I did Sam's recovery ride, as well as the light arms and weights. I did the yoga. And again, I don't want to give away my picks of the week, but I'll leave it for that. But yeah, I mean, it is no question for me personally, favorite collection, for sure, that Peloton has put out, because it was so vast and had so many different modalities, as I said. And yeah, I guess you'll have to jump back on. You'll have to make sure you stay on to get to hear the picks of the week, because there are definitely quite a few in there. We also got 4 9/11 remembrance classes this past week, and Peloton had put together a remembrance series to honor those lives lost or altered by the 9/11 tragedy. All classes were given on Saturday, September the 11th, and they were as follows. There was a 20-minute remembrance ride that Christine did, a 10-minute remembrance meditation with Kristen McGee, a 20-minute remembrance run with Robin Arzon, and a 45-minute remembrance run with Bex Gentry. I did get to do the ride and the meditation, and they were exceptionally moving and a beautiful, beautiful tribute. So the instructors did it justice. It was just amazing to see. Look, I mean, they're New Yorkers, right? So they probably were impacted by the awful attack, 20 years ago.
We're living there at the time, yeah.
And, interestingly, and I'm sure you know this, but interestingly enough, what I ended up seeing was that Jen Sherman's husband was someone that escaped 9/11 and escaped the towers. And I'll share this with you folks because I did follow through and read up a little bit more on it. But Jen's husband was in the second tower, and something possessed him to move quick, and he got out. And it was an amazing story. If you haven't read it, Jen had posted something on her social media on 9/11. I had no idea, and yeah, pretty amazing. I mean, before her kids, maybe one of them was, I think her son may have been born.
Evan.
I think Evan
Yeah.
may have been around. But yeah, so I love the fact
Carly's
that
the younger, her
Peloton,
daughter.
just acknowledged that this is, a time in our lives that none of us will ever forget. And yeah, got to experience that. So if you haven't done it, folks, do it. Don't let too much time pass, because I think that, just thinking back to this past weekend, the weekend last, watching some of the stuff that unfolded in remembrance, it'll be a nice way for you to just feel connected. I certainly did.
Wow. Well, in shifting gears, I don't know how I can segue from that, but
I know, sorry.
Yes. But this past Thursday morning, Peloton announced their plans for the 2021 LatinX Heritage Month celebration, which just underway. It's running from September 15th to October 15th. Similar to last year's, the 2021, the plan includes a lot of special classes this year in both Spanish and English, as well as a $100,000 donation to the Hispanic Scholarship Fund. This has been an annual celebration for Peloton since 2018 now. And there is a new special colorful badge, which is actually really pops, which we posted on the Pelo Buddy website, which looks really nice for completing any of the classes in the collection. There's over a dozen of them, so there's lots of options, including cardio, cycle, some runs, and yoga. So head over to Pelo Buddy to the website. We give the whole, the breakdown of them. You can check out that shiny badge that you can earn. And yeah.
Awesome. I can't wait to jump on those too. Yeah. So for those of you who have enjoyed Robin Arzon's pre and postnatal workouts, you have more to work out to. Robin has actually dropped a bunch of strength classes, and they can be found, postnatal core strength classes. I almost left out the core part. Then that's important. So she actually had dropped some core strength classes, and they can be found in her prenatal and postnatal class series collection. You can also catch new 10-minute classes every Friday morning for the next 8 weeks. So I believe that she is going to be doing live 10-minute classes for folks that are having just had babies. So I think that's amazing, really amazing. And this kind of leads me into our next story, as it looks like Peloton is continuing to expand its health partnerships. So they're definitely very health conscious and look at collaborating as much as they can with corporations out there. So we all are fully aware of United Healthcare. We've spoken about it in the past. They also had a collaboration with SAP, Samsung, and others. But now they are we're learning that O'Melveny and Myers. O'Melveny, I believe, is how it's pronounced, is a law firm. It's the first law firm that they are partnering with to offer this corporate perk. Beginning October 6th, employees will actually get free access to the digital app, as well as discounts on the All Access membership and the bikes. Interestingly enough, John, I was not aware of the statistic, but research apparently has shown that attorneys suffer from the highest rates of mental health and substance abuse issues than any other professional. Isn't that staggering? I mean, I can believe it.
This could be a massive amount of stress.
I mean, just exactly the amount of stress that they have to go through. So, I assume having a Peloton bike or access to the app to release, some of those endorphins will definitely be welcomed. So I really like the fact that they have partnered and are looking at continuing to bring themselves into the corporate world, which is fantastic.
That's great. Well, Peloton won a lawsuit. Now, this is whenever there's lawsuits, there's so much legalese. It's so confusing. So I try to kind of understand the all the jargon, the legal jargon, especially from the judge's ruling here. But this past Thursday, a judge dismissed a patent lawsuit brought against Peloton by Mad Dog, creators of the trademark phrase spinning. The judge ruled that Mad Dog Athletics patents were too abstract and that Mad Dog Athletics didn't have enough facts backing up their case. This was first filed by Mad Dog last December, and it's been slowly creeping its way through the court system in Texas. Bloomberg News first reported it on the closure of the case, saying that the judge dismissed it without prejudice. But here's the funny thing, like it says, leaving the door open for Mad Dog Athletics to file a new case against Peloton over the patent. So it's like it's shut the door on this one case, but now it's like, I guess they're just going to reopen another one to file to sue again over something else. Yeah. So Peloton filed a petition earlier this year requesting that the trademark spinning be invalidated because they stated at the time they felt the phrase has just become too broadly used, too generic, and that Mad Dog Athletics was abusively enforcing, going after anybody who, used that term to, almost as a scare tactic, it seems. So back and forth they go. I'm sure, the lawyers are stressed out, so hopefully they're getting their workouts in on their Peloton.
I mean, isn't that those two stories? I love it. I love it. I love it. I think
that
you
was
were
just
perfect.
Off the cuff.
I love it, John Pruitt. You nailed it. You nailed it. But yeah, I mean, we've said these lawsuits just frustrate me to no extent because some of them are so futile and so ridiculous. I mean, for God's sake, we're going to talk about the word spinning. I mean, we've spoken about this on the show before, but it's just crazy. So I'm glad that they won. I'm glad that Peloton actually came out the victor in that one because hopefully, I can't imagine that Mad Dog want to go and spend more money in figuring out, how to start a new suit, but I guess time will tell, and we'll just have to get to see. Yeah. So interestingly, the Wall Street Journal. I'm so sorry. The Wall Street Journal released an interesting article this past week regarding the tread and whether it can continue to sustain sales purely based on the Peloton hype. So I'm sure that probably this too had some impact on the John Foley bit that I mentioned about him doing this YouTube live next week, or this coming week at least. But Wall Street Journal kind of is on it as well. And from the earnings call, we already learned that the company was surprised as to how many Tread and Tread Pluses were returned with the recall. And with the Tread Plus still being paused for sale, we don't foresee a huge increase in revenue derived from tread sales. So I think, they do hope to vamp up marketing and build product awareness on the treads, but is it enough? Is it enough to get the sales back to where they need it to be? I know that from the UK market and the German market, folks are loving the fact that the tread is now for sale. They don't have access to purchase the Tread Plus. So I think they're just happy that there's a tread that's out there that they can purchase. And truthfully, I don't know how many people are still going out to buy the Tread Plus anyway. It's a very expensive piece of hardware. I mean, there's no question. We have it and we're fortunate enough to have it. But it's definitely, I think, for a very specific demographic. And, they're trying to be more inclusive and bringing in a younger, clientele and a younger market. And the fact that they reduced the price of the bike, gave an opportunity for them to increase their market share. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see where that goes, but it was an interesting article nonetheless.
Well, there's definitely a lot of holdouts that are people that are still waiting. Whenever the Tread Plus goes on sale, they're gonna pull the trigger. So a lot of folks that I know of.
I think that people have said that.
Yeah, they're just they don't want the baby tread.
Yeah.
They want the all the bells and whistles on that higher price Tread Plus. So
interesting.
A lot of folks, they don't want to get the just because it's available now. They still, they want all the shock absorbing slats and that big immersive screen.
Look, and I will say, for someone that owns the Tread Plus, and I had reported when you teased me a couple of weeks ago and said about whether I was going to be running, and I suffer from a bad back. I've had 2 laminectomies, so I was very anxious about picking up running again and going on there. And I have to say, I mean, knock on wood, Tony Sinkinson will be very happy to hear this. But I have had no issues, and I do believe it's because of the tread. It's because of the slats and not having as much impact. And believe you me, I am no speed runner. I don't run. My most I've done is a 30-minute run. So I'm cautious. I'm cautious of what I'm doing. But I have to say that that machine is everything for me from that perspective. Is that it definitely is protecting my back in some way, because I have had absolutely zero issues with all the running that I've been doing over the last 2 weeks. So I'm really pleased.
You definitely get what you pay for. So it's definitely worth it, but it's a luxury item. So
yeah. I just hope, I mean, the only thing that I will say, which the Wall Street Journal did mention, in the article as well, was, Peloton gave a very long period of time for people to return their Tread Pluses. It was 18 months. People have 18 months. And, I just don't want to see people hanging on to that, hanging onto their Tread Pluses, and right before the recall ends, that they then figure, oh, well, you know what, we've gotten use out of it. We're going to go ahead and return the Tread Plus and get our money back. Because I think that just would be rude. That's just my own personal feeling.
A little bit of gaming the system, taking advantage of it. I can see that.
We'll see. Yeah.
Well, there was a really interesting article that caught my eye, Amanda, in Adweek, titled "How an Engaged Community Keeps Peloton Pedaling Its Way to Success," and it talks with the Peloton's director of community, JV Nava, about her experience and her background, what drew her to Peloton, because she's been there with the company since the very, very early days. And it states, by taking opportunities and continuing to challenge myself, in 2015, just 2 years after Peloton's existence, members started to connect with one another off our interactive leaderboard via social media. And this is really when the community really exploded on social media, especially on the Peloton member Facebook page, which started as just an unofficial member page that, a Peloton OG had created, which then Peloton asked to take it over to make it the official Peloton member page. But they wanted to discuss their experiences, share feedback on class content and features with fellow members, their favorite instructors, and JV goes on to say, this led me to lead the community at Peloton after running our production studio as VP of studio operations for a year and a half, which I didn't know that's what she was doing with the company before she went into the working in community. JV went on to state, I wanted to connect our brand closer with our members and ensure their feedback is heard and rooted in everything we do, from delivery to new classes and product features. So since then, JV she now oversees moderation and engagement on their social media channels, the Peloton platform and social groups, and community events like Homecoming. And she went on to also say surprise and delight initiatives to ensure we're cultivating and maintaining an inclusive and special community. The interviewer asked her, what is one piece of your work from your career that you're most proud of? And she said Homecoming, Peloton's annual member event, which was originally started by Peloton members, by a member from Ohio who basically early on, I think in 2015 in the fall, they had reached out to JV and some people at Peloton saying that they and approximately 25 other members were flying to the Peloton studio there in Chelsea, which was where it was located at the time, basically just to have a weekend to socialize, to hang out, to ride together, to work out together. And back then it was called Home Rider Invasion, HRI. So it's kind of cool, I know, since then it's now called Homecoming. It's no longer just members back then were referred as home riders because it was just the bike, it was just cycling. Mm-hmm. But obviously it's expanded. So now, Homecoming gives that more community feel of everyone, that whether you're an app, a digital app user, or maybe you just have the tread or the bike, whatever it may be. So it's just for everyone. But I liked her response to the question of how do you pick and develop the talent on your team? And JV said, I look for someone who is willing to take on any challenges and is passionate about the work they'll be doing. I'm also conscious about finding diverse team members with different experience and backgrounds that allow us to think differently and broaden our approach and perspective on things. And that's what I think Peloton is so great at doing in social media channels, increasing member engagement, highlighting, showcasing some of members' workout spaces or posts when they hit a huge milestone or overcome a major life event. They just the other day, made the big announcement that they're now on TikTok. So it looks like they'll actually be putting out some different content there, hopefully, than just what they do on the Insta page. But I thought that was interesting because I've always thought about what I would do. We live, breathe, and eat Peloton, but it would be fun to be a part of that in some way. So that article is especially interesting, kind of thinking about maybe a second act for myself and where that could lead. So we'll see.
Well, when we were preparing for this, I read that article. I was like, this is John's name all over it. There was no question. I loved reading it. I thought it was you kind of hit all the points because it is a brilliant community and they have done an amazing way of connecting us and, allowing folks to connect. And I have made some amazing friends through this community. So, and it's thanks to what they're doing on the backside.
I thought it was interesting when one of the questions, I thought I had made some notes of it, but JV Nava said what made her want to come to Peloton, because she had said she had run cycling studios all over New York, Manhattan, and the Hamptons, but she didn't feel like she was being challenged.
Yeah.
And she loves the idea she's constantly challenged and faced with new, things that come up, and obviously different ways to pivot. When the Homecoming, they had to cancel that, they had to go virtual. They're always coming up,
and
with
yet they kept
fun.
us engaged, right? I mean, they continue to keep us engaged. They had us, itching for more. I was, reading about the different things that they've done with, Asian Heritage, a month when they sent out, those surprise gifts to those folks that are involved in the community, in the Asian community, etc. So those are just some of the things that I love how they touch different people. I just love how they touch different people. Yeah, awesome. That was an awesome article. Really nice article. Yeah, so next up, I guess, is Instructor in the News, John. And there's lots of them. They just, each week, it blows my, we can't even get to all of them, I think. I mean, we're going to have to start limiting what
Yeah,
we say on them because
podcast
there's
interview
so
after
much.
podcast interview.
Yeah.
I don't even, I can't fit the time in between my actual job and
reading
working
all of
out
these, right? Or listening.
Yeah.
100%. So I'll kick it off. And start off with the first one that I thought was kind of interesting. So while Jess King was off gallivanting in the Greek Isles this past week, a
With the rest
new
of them,
article
yeah.
Trump. I mean, that was wild with all of them. It was actually really fun to see. It was really fun to see.
Yeah.
So just so for you folks that aren't big on social media, and if you don't follow the instructors, there was Jess and her fiance Sophia. There was Rebecca Kennedy and Andy Spears. There was did you see that, John?
Well, I don't know what you were implying there.
There was Rebecca and Andy. There was Dennis. There was Adrian Williams and his girlfriend. And they were all having the best time in the Greek Isles. I believe it was one of the Peloton employees' wedding. Not one of the instructors, but one of the wedding, and they had gone for that wedding. So while they were all off gallivanting, Jess popped up in self.com. And it was just in time for the LatinX Heritage Month. Jess talks about what she draws from her Latina culture that pushes her forward. So she admits that while us members get to see an enthusiastic, confident instructor on the platform, she said she wasn't always like that, which I find hard to believe, but was interesting to read about. I don't know if most of you know this, but Jess actually finished in the top 10 of season 4 of So You Think You Can Dance. And she also had a leading role in Las Vegas's Cirque du Soleil. So she definitely has a performing background, and we certainly get to see that on the bike now. But she says that she always knew that she had a voice and that she wanted to get it out there. So when the opportunity arose with Peloton, she jumped right into it. And she figured out that she could utilize her Latina culture and that it could help her to relate to the company's diverse membership. And the article talks about her growing up as the daughter of a Chilean immigrant. Her mother, I guess, was Chilean, and she says that she was a huge influence on her and on her drive to go after whatever she wanted. She chats about how the pandemic affected her work and her personal outlook, and how she and her fiance, Sophia Arista, connected. So it was a fantastic article in self.com, and I definitely encourage you to head over to pelobuddy.com to read the full article. So I like that.
Well, we'd mentioned Adrian Williams on that trip. I think, was it Mykonos, Greek? They were in
Mykonos. They were in Mykonos
for a while.
Oh, fantastic.
I think Rebecca on her strength class the other day. She was back on Friday. I did her 20-minute strength class Friday, which I was surprised to see her on the schedule. So I skipped the 20-minute low impact that Hannah had to go with Rebecca, and she had said in pre-show they had island hopped a little bit. But Adrian Williams, who was there with them, he was recently on podcast, the Hurdle podcast, episode 175. Talks a little bit about his backstory. He's born and raised in the Bronx, and he talks about two distinct, I guess the Hurdle podcast has hurdle moments. They have a hashtag Hurdle Moments that shaped him into the man he is today, dealing with devastating loss. They talked about the importance of family, movement, therapy, which are all critical tools in his toolbox so that he can regularly show up for millions of members in the Peloton community. So,
yeah, fantastic. And by now, I'm hoping that most of you have watched the absolutely incredible documentary that Peloton released on Beck's journey to her Tokyo trial running in London. But if you're craving for more Beck's, take a listen to the podcast Marnie on the Move. Bex talks about running, training, getting faster, and of course her docuseries, The Roadmap.
And Allie Love was also interviewed on a podcast for Very Well Mind. which is this episode's titled "How to Choose Progress Over Perfection" with Peloton instructor Ali Love. We've got links on the Pelo Buddy website if you want to check it out. I'm sorry, the dog is nibbling at my hand, and I'm trying to stave her off. Ow, dude! Sorry.
Do you want to take her out quick? Do you think she needs to go out, or no? She's just playing. All right.
She's like, look at me already. I'm done napping in the bathroom. Now give me some one-on-one time. Yeah. So anyway, so you've got Sam
Yo. Yep. So John, I knew I liked Sam, but this past week he was interviewed for stylist.co.uk talking about meditation. So now I know I really like him because, as you all know, I am a huge advocate for meditation on the platform. Sam tells us that sometimes folks can get in a meditation rut, and a good way to change it up would be to refresh one's practice. And he suggests trying this it's called Zen Buddhist cones, which aims to open and expand one's mind. He phrases it as a mental workout. And as we all know, Ben was a former Buddhist monk. And he says that he used cones during this time as a monk and still does it now. So what is cones, you ask? Because I certainly did. Cones are similar to riddles and encourage people to think about different ideas and ways of seeing the world. The article goes on to explain how one can use cones as the mindful workout, how one shouldn't look for the answer from cones, and how one can use cones to spark creativity. So head over to pelobuddy.com to see the full article.
Oh. Well, CEO and co-founder of Peloton, John Foley, he's going to be speaking at two different upcoming events. We'd already mentioned on last week's episode, I believe, he'll be appearing speaking at TechCrunch Disrupt, along with Chief Content Officer for Peloton, Jennifer Cotter. That is right around the corner, September 21st to the 23rd, but he will also be participating in the Goldman Sachs Communicopia Conference, which is happening on Wednesday, September 22nd. And the audio portion of that will be webcasted live. We've got all the details for both on the Pelo Buddy website, so go there, check it out. And I've already RSVP'd for the Goldman Sachs, or I've added it to my iCalendar.
Good, yeah. And Robin Arzon was interviewed on The Art of Power. It's an Apple podcast chatting about her career change and giving a 7-step guide on how to do it. So if any of you are deciding on wanting to maybe change your career, head over to that podcast and take a listen.
Well, also, happy birthday to Robin Arzon and Anna Greenberg, celebrating their birthdays.
They celebrate in good company this week.
Right with you, yeah.
Yeah, Robin's a day
Virgo
before
season?
mine. And Virgo, we're right on the cusp. Yep, I'm one of the last Virgos. So yeah. And John, let's go right into picks of the week. I know between the two of us, we have way too many, but let's go ahead and get them out there. So I think it's suffice to say that I am a huge Ed Sheeran fan, if you've been listening to the entire podcast or watched us. So with that being said, here are my picks. First off, let's go with the trend. I think I've fallen in love with Jermaine Johnson.
JJ.
Really fallen in love with Jermaine Johnson. He is very easy on the eyes. There is no question. That English accent makes me melt. And he's awesome on the tread, like really awesome on the tread. So while his premier ride from Wednesday was fire.
Run.
Absolutely.
Run.
Oh, I keep doing that.
I do it. Trust me,
Yes,
I did
folks.
it a lot when I first got
his
the tread.
run, while his premier run on the on Wednesday was just absolutely magic. My pick of the week has to be his Ed Sheeran run. It was fantastic. It was just 20 minutes. I took it on call on Friday. So I don't believe it went live. I'm stood to be corrected. I don't believe it dropped live. So he did go ahead and have it on encore on Friday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time. But it was fantastic. And I am very proud to say that I made a personal best on that one. So not only, I don't know if it was him pushing me or what it was, but his song London Calling, it just got me moving so fast because I am itching to get to London. And it got me running really fast. So amazing. He had some of the best tracks that aren't typically always heard of Ed's music, but I loved it. So that was my first pick of the week. Next up, let's jump on the bike. So Christine's 9/11 Remembrance Ride. I did it again. Remembrance Ride. So Christine's 9/11 Remembrance Ride was powerful, moving, and as I said when I spoke about the Remembrance Rides in the news portion, if you haven't taken it yet, folks, don't let too much time pass. Her vulnerability and sheer sadness, remembering that day, is worth clipping in. Truly is worth clipping in, and just appreciating all that we lost, and yet how we all came together as a community on that day 20 years ago. And it just made me think of the Peloton community today, because I can only imagine if we had lost members, if God forbid a tragedy like that happened today, where we are so close to so many members that we've never even met. And you could just see that it was just a raw, she started to cry and I started to cry. I thank God I did not lose anybody. I certainly know people that did, but it was incredibly moving. So take it. I didn't care about the numbers. I pushed away the leaderboard, and I just I rode as a recovery, and it was phenomenal. Yeah. Next up is Leanne's Ed Sheeran. Her 30-minute Ed Sheeran Out of Series ride and premier ride out of London was epic. She looked, as I said earlier, sensational. And I really think that she just did every one of Ed's songs justice. She just was on top form. The ride was phenomenal. It was a tough ride. It was actually a tough ride, but I absolutely had to put it in there. And carrying on,
she debuted a new song off of Ed Sheeran's
new album,
latest album. Yeah, she had mentioned that it was the premiere of it on the Peloton platform. So she got the Heard It Here First Ed Sheeran tune.
Oh, that's amazing! I missed that.
I can't remember.
It's Shivers.
I can't remember.
That's quite right. Shivers. That's it. Their control room just helped us out there, because I did not realize that it was being debuted on the ride. You know what? I just listen. His voice is like an angel. I mean, he is just so incredible, and she just gave him justice. So I loved it. I loved how she did her hair. She looked spectacular. The studio looked amazing, and it was a great way to launch the UK community into the new studio. And then, as I said, carrying on the Ed Sheeran love I am picking Sam's recovery ride. And I needed a recovery ride after the amount of workouts I was doing at the beginning of the week. So I have to say it was a 20-minute ride. I'll never tire of Ed's music. I have it on repeat in my car. So hearing the music while just taking deep breaths and not pushing myself was pure magic. So we every now and again, we need that, folks. We really do need to just take a step back, not feel that we're racing the leaderboard, not feel that and I like the fact that it actually dropped on demand. It wasn't a live ride. So you really didn't have to race anybody if you didn't want to. Again, pushed away the leaderboard and just rode. And he did that ride justice too. I did a lot of riding, so I'm going to give one more bike shout out, and that is to my friend Bradley Rose. And this week, he had his premiere ride in the new studio, which was a British pop ride with bangers that I had never heard of, but definitely got me pedaling and, of course, in hysterics at some of his banter. It's back from Wednesday, September 15th, and it's definitely worth jumping on.
I had counted myself in for that, and I was a no-show.
Really? Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I liked it.
Life.
I liked it. I wanted to be on live with him, and I have to say, I really liked it. It was just, as I said, music I had never heard before. And then next up, I'm going to hit the floor. I rarely talk about yoga, and while I still haven't committed to practicing regularly, when I saw that Kristen McGee had a 30-minute Ed Sheeran yoga flow, I knew that I could handle it, and handle it I did. It dropped on Thursday, the 16th, and I did it late in the afternoon. I didn't do it in the morning when it dropped. I did it later in the afternoon, after having fasted a full day. But you know what, it just put me in a wonderful frame of mind. Of course, the music was perfect, excuse the pun, but thinking out loud, shape of you, photograph, perfect, and much more. And then lastly, folks, meditation. We can't leave that out. You know, I can't leave that out. So I joined 2 live meditations this week. First up was a 15-minute energizing meditation with Aditi Shah from Wednesday. I love her practice, and I truly felt energized and ready to take on Yom Kippur that next day, start that fast. She just did energize me. I love listening to her. She looked gorgeous too, and it was an amazing practice. And then I jumped on Ross Rayburn's 10-minute empathy meditation on Thursday morning, and I highly recommend that too. So there you have it. You know what? I guess I'm excited that I'm able to now share more modalities with you than just being so one-sided and only looking at rides, and broadening my horizons. I do hope that next week I can include Ben's Ed Sheeran strength class, and I plan to do that this coming week. So hopefully that'll come up next week. So yeah, lots from me this week. All over to you now, John.
Well, my picks are not as diverse as you, because I'm just you're killing it with all the different stuff you're choosing. I've just been lately. It's just been boot camp and running in the bike, but I got a few good picks for you. I'm gonna kick it off with. So this was my very first 90-minute ride. I've never done a 90-minute ride before, and they don't happen very often. And Matt Wilpers usually teaches them maybe not even quarterly, maybe every 6 months. It's been a while since the last one, but I just did his most recent one live. It was a 90-minute Power Zone endurance ride from Saturday morning, September 11th. And usually on Saturdays, his Power Zone rides, I think every week they're an all request playlist. So it's kind of fun because he doesn't just stick, to one genre or one decade. So they're all over the place. So it can be fun in the randomness, hearing like John Mayer and then Pearl Jam mixed in there. And he somehow makes it work. But this was an all request one. He said have some food nearby. He was taking little nibbles from his banana here and there to sort of to fuel up. I didn't have as healthy of an option on my little snack shelf that I have next to the bike. I had some gummy bears to give a little sugar boost here and there, but it didn't feel like a super long ride. It went by pretty quickly, but it kind of felt like a journey. So it was fun in that sense. And also he played one of my song requests that I had sent him, which was ZZ Top's "Give Me All Your Lovin'."
Oh, nice.
So that was a lot of fun. That's just one of those songs that whenever it comes on, it always just, elevates me and just, gives me that boost of excitement, pumps me up. So 90-minute ride. If you've ever done one, Matt's an awesome coach. So he's not going to steer you wrong. He's so good in, talking about your technique and your preparation and your training. So I've really gravitated towards him with that. I'm not a huge power zone person. I haven't really, joined a power zone pack or done the challenges, but he's just an awesome coach. So I've really enjoyed his classes, and especially power zone. Moving on to our boo, Cody Rigsby, he had a 20-minute 80s ride that it dropped on demand from September 5th. But this one is just a lot of fun because he was so into the music when Billy Ocean's "Get Out of My Car" or "Get Out of My Dreams, Get Into My Car" came on. He was like so fired up and so animated, and then he talked about like get into my rental car, Hertz or Avis, but not a budget. Okay, we've got more money. We can afford more than a budget rental car. So that was just a lot of fun. And then I got to run with one of the newest instructors, Kirsten Ferguson. I did first time running with her, 30-minute hip hop ride from Tuesday, September 14th. It wasn't explicit, and she mentioned, there's no, we're playing the edited versions on this playlist, but she did say, the lyrics get a little ratchet, so she did give that caveat. But what was fun was she played this song called Simon Says, and we had like a listening game with it, to add on speed. So that was great, and I posted a little meme of her from that, which was fun on Insta Reels. And then it's been a long time, I feel, since I've done a live ride with Ali Love, but her 30-minute pop ride from Thursday morning, September 16th, was so much fun. And she even prefaced in pre-show by saying, this isn't going to be, a PR ride. It's not going to be a super intense workout. This is going to be a fun type playlist. And it was. And the one song when we popped out of the saddle just after it came on was Natasha Bedingfield's "Love Like This." And there was something about that song when we were up out of the saddle, and I was totally in sync with the rhythm going up and down. It just, that was the standout. That was the standout song for me. So super fun ride. I think I posted a couple clips from funny pre-show moments in there. And then rounding it out with a little bit of strength, because I love my bike boot camps, especially tread boot camps as well, but Cody's 30-minute upper body bike boot camp from Friday morning, September 17th. If you haven't done for anyone watching or listening, if you haven't done a boot camp class, they're so much fun. And Cody is the perfect instructor to start out with. If you're nervous or if you're hesitant, intimidated, totally understandable, but it's so much fun with him. And he's not a super hard strength instructor, but you're going to have a great time. You're still going to have a good sweat. And this one, he wasn't like dancing or doing anything crazy, but he talked about Dancing with the Stars a little bit, which was fun. He shouted out somebody had the leaderboard name Cody's Mirror Balls, so he got a big chuckle over that. And I had changed my location field to say, "Give me a side twerk." So during the floor, when he was on the floor and he was, just doing some random shout outs, he said, "Kenny Banya, how you doing, pal? Give me a side twerk." And he goes, "Sir, it's too early for that. I don't have my coffee yet."
Too funny.
So maybe he's saving those moves for Dancing with the Stars on Monday night, which Monday, September 20th, we all have to tune in. Let's show up for Cody, show our support. I know I'm just super excited just to see, what he dances to.
Knows
So
that.
he's apparently dancing to Dua Lipa, which I couldn't imagine him dancing to anything else, maybe except Britney. Yeah, Amanda. So with the Friday morning bike boot camp and Jackie being out of town in Austin for the weekend, I was trying to figure out, because she pulled this like last minute thing on me, like I need to be there for this event in Austin, because she originally wasn't going to go, and then I guess she was kind of feeling the pressure a little bit and feeling left out. So I said, just go, just book it. But I said, Friday morning, I'm thinking, how am I going to get Jackson off to school and still be able to do that 8 a.m. Cody boot camp? So luckily, Jackson, he didn't ride the bus, and I took him to school after that, and Maddie stayed up in her crate. So I still got to get my boot camp in on Friday mornings with Cody with the boot camp booze. So that was a fun
may
one.
that may be a good pick for me, John, to try boot camp, because it's just something I have not, kind of dabbled in. So maybe Cody is a good one for me to do. So I think maybe I will try that one.
I maybe do one a week. I wish
Okay.
I wish they had more live, because usually they just have a Friday bike boot camp that's live at 8 a.m. And then there's a Monday one, which is a terrible time for me, at 5 p.m. with Jess Sims.
Yeah.
So hopefully with the UK adding, hopefully boot camps, hopefully we'll have some better time slots, maybe during the day or on the weekend. Because I would love to do more, and I'm all about that live, being in the moment. So
Friday 8 a.m. is great.
super
So
fun.
Definitely want to try that.
Yeah.
Definitely want to try that. So that's awesome. Yeah. So no, those are amazing picks. And I'm glad you brought up Cody. I was hoping we weren't going to close out the show without reminding everybody that they have to tune in, certainly for our US folks. I don't know if the German and UK community are going to be able to find a way of accessing the show, but I'm sure they will. But it is definitely, I don't think Dancing with the Stars know what they have gotten themselves into with the Peloton community. Because we are going to be absolutely jamming those phone lines with our voting. There's no question. So really excited. Really excited about that. And, John, I'm glad you actually brought up Allie's ride, because quite a few friends actually spoke about it. In fact, I had a friend she did a milestone. She did her 1700 milestone. You might have heard the shout out for Chasing Twins. Ilana is local. She's local to, she lives in Virginia, and we've become friends through the community. And Allie had mentioned how she saw the name, and she remembered, she had watched a previous ride that she had done in studio, and she had called out Ilana Chasing Twins in that ride. So I love the connection there.
Yeah.
So it's definitely bookmarked. I will do it this week, no question. I haven't ridden with Allie in quite some time. I think my last ride was before her wedding, was her marriage, her pre-marriage ride. So I have not ridden with her in a while. So I'm looking forward to jumping on that. So those are awesome picks. Thank you very much. That's great.
And since you circled back to Allie, one thing I wanted to add to the pop ride, in pre-show, she did, every year, I don't know for how many years now she's been doing it, but Boss October was her ride series that she would do with, some tougher classes. She did mention in pre-show that she's not doing Boss October. She's not doing it in October because her Love Squad company also does something, they also promote something similar like Boss October. So I think she wanted to have more of a separation between the two. She said she is going to be doing some harder rides program for October, but she did say that Boss October would be coming back a different month, and they would be, Boss
November,
Boss November, Boss December.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
doesn't
awesome.
quite roll off the tongue, but just a heads up. Yeah,
that's awesome. Great, awesome. Well, I guess, John, we have pretty much wrapped it up. There was a lot of news, folks, and I appreciate all of you that have stayed on and got to listen to the whole show. We know that you look forward to our picks of the week, and I get tons of messages from community members that thank me and John for the picks that we share with you guys. So we're so glad that that's taken off nicely and that folks really do enjoy that. And hopefully between John and I getting on the platform more, we'll have lots of different options for you to share with you. But as John said at the beginning of the show, if you guys have picks that you want to share, please do, and we're happy to use them for the following week and tell folks what you've done.
I'm sure there's plenty I've let slip through the cracks that I know.
There's just no way we can get to, so many. But if there's one that really stands out for you guys and, you've done it, and obviously we can't get onto all of it, onto everything. So it'll be awesome. It'll be awesome. Yeah. So I guess from me here as one of my last days as a 51-year-old, I look forward to seeing you all next week as a 52-year-old. And I'm just so proud. Older. I'm just so proud how I'm just so comfortable with my age, and it's just a number. I was told once. I was told that age is just a number. So for all of you that are celebrating birthdays this week, happy birthday! And from me here in Maryland, I will see you guys next week.
And from me here in Michigan, always appreciate you tuning in. And as always, we will see you on the leaderboard.
Bye for now, everybody.
Thank you for watching Pelo Buddy TV, your source for everything Peloton, by the community, for the community. Work out with us using the Pelo Buddy TV leaderboard tag and find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Pelo Buddy. Don't forget that we have a podcast available so that you can listen to us while on the move. Just search for Pelo Buddy TV on any major platform and hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode.